Hi, I'm Laura Lee Paha. You might also know me as the Connection Coach. I am an intuitive coach and healer. And this April, starting April 5th, I am offering a small group healing class called the People Pleaser Detox. So I wanted to take a few minutes to tell you more about the class in case it's something that might be helpful to you, and to offer you a preview of the class with this mini masterclass called You Weren't Born a People Pleaser. Now, when we're born, we come into this world as babies. We're not instantly and immediately trying to please other people in order to get what we need. I believe that we come into this world like this, a blank canvas that is open to infinite possibilities and all kinds of potential. And while we are the artists that create our own lives, unfortunately, a lot of what goes onto our canvas as we get older is shaped by the conditioning of society and by the people who raised us, our parents and our caretakers, and the people that have surrounded us throughout our whole lives. And this is where a lot of our people-pleasing tendencies originate from. We weren't born that way, but we were quickly conditioned to become that way. And one of the most important parts of healing is simply bringing awareness to what happened to you to form these people-pleasing tendencies in the first place. Because once we have awareness, that changes everything. We might have been doing things one way our entire life, never knowing that there were other options, other choices, other possibilities. And when we can remove those limiting beliefs by bringing awareness and being able to see what happened to us, it empowers us with choice. But we have to start with bringing awareness to what happened first. What I want to say up front is that bringing in this awareness is not about blaming. It's not about blaming or guilting our parents. It's simply about acknowledging what is and acknowledging what happened. So I want to share an example with you, and I'm not saying this is how all people pleasers are created. In fact, people-pleasing tendencies can be created out of a multitude of situations in our childhood. This is just one example that I hope will help you start to see the thread of where these people-pleasing tendencies are created and how those are carried with us throughout our lives. So imagine with me, if you will, that there is a small child, and this small child has a parent or a caretaker who is, for the most part, unavailable. And when I say unavailable, maybe the parent works a lot and they're physically not there. But maybe this parent could also just be really distracted. You know, a lot of adults have their own wounds that they haven't healed from, that they might not even be able to see, and can keep them from being fully present and available to us as children. So let's imagine that this child has a parent, for whatever reason, is unavailable. Now, something that needs to be acknowledged is that as children and as humans, we all have these essential basic needs that have to be met in order for us to survive. It is vital for us to be seen, for us to feel safe, for us to be nurtured physically and emotionally. And when we're not receiving those things, we will start to do things to try to get what we need in order to feel like we can survive. So imagine that this child has this parent who is unavailable, and this child isn't feeling seen, and she's not getting what she needs emotionally to feel connected and bonded to that parent. So as this child starts to get older, and I don't mean as an adult, just an older child, the child starts to think, well, maybe if I do this, then my parent will see me and I'll get the attention that I need and my emotional needs will be met. And maybe it's something simple like, maybe if I make breakfast for mom today, then she'll see me. Maybe if I write my mom this letter, then she'll notice me and she'll want to spend time with me. And let's imagine that this continues and the child's now in elementary school. Maybe she's playing sports and she thinks, maybe if I score a goal in my soccer game today, then I'm going to be seen and I'm going to be noticed and I'm going to get that love that I really need. Maybe if I make all A's, then I'll get what I need. Maybe if I keep my room spotless, then I'll get what I need. My mom's so busy. Maybe if I do XYZ for her, that will take some off her plate and then she'll be able to spend time with me. So if you can see this pattern and how this builds, you can see how a people pleaser can easily be created when a child's core vital needs aren't being met. And these tendencies will absolutely continue into adulthood because we continue to repeat the familiar and the patterns that were created in childhood. And what's more is that we tend to be in relationship with people who mirror our earliest relationships. Why? Because it's what's familiar. And as humans, we love the familiar. We're attracted to the familiar. So while they might not be the exact same, there's a high likelihood that we'll be in relationships, whether it's friendships or romantic relationships and partnerships. We might even attract coworkers who kind of mirror some of the same tendencies that our parents had. So if we're people pleasers as children and we're continuing those tendencies as adults and we're in relationships with people who mirror in some ways our parents or our caretakers, it's just reinforcing those people-pleasing tendencies. I also want to talk about limiting beliefs and how those are formed. Those are a big part of the people-pleasing tendencies, and they originate just like the tendencies in our origin story. So let's go back to that child who is trying so hard to do everything she can to get her core needs met. She's trying so hard. She's thinking, if I just do this, then I'll get what I need. But when she does the thing, when she wins the soccer game, when she makes her mom the breakfast, when she makes the A's, it still doesn't get her what she needs because her parent, for whatever reason, still hasn't healed the thing that's keeping them distracted in the first place. But the child doesn't know that, can't conceptualize that, doesn't understand that, doesn't know everything that's going on beneath the surface. The child's gonna think it's her fault. She's gonna keep trying to do those things to get her needs met, but it's not gonna happen. So the belief that's created is, it doesn't matter what I do, it's never good enough. It's never good enough to get me the love, the attention, the connection that I so strongly need and desire. So then that underlying belief that drives everything else throughout her life is, doesn't matter what I do, I'm not good enough. So of course she's gonna keep doing the things for other people, trying to get that connection, trying to keep those connections intact, because relationships and connection are vital to our survival, even as adults. We need relationships. She's gonna keep doing whatever she has to do to stay connected, but she's gonna feel like it's never gonna be good enough. And what message does that send? I'm not worthy of love. So being enough, feeling like you're not good enough, and self-worth are so deeply connected in those origin stories, and they're so deeply connected to our people-pleasing tendencies. And then think about how this shows up in our relationship as adults. It's hard for us to even know what we really want because we've spent so much time saying yes to other people and doing what we think other people need, putting their needs ahead of our own. We're afraid to say no because we're afraid that we're gonna lose the connection that we have, the relationships that we have, if we put ourselves first. And we're doing and we're trying desperately to do what other people need for us to do so we can keep what's most important. We've neglected ourselves in the process. That can start to create feelings of resentment. And resentment can show up as a huge disconnect in relationships. It's a wedge. And it all comes back to the people pleasing. And on top of that, you have neglected yourself. Self-love is hard to come by when you're unable to do things for yourself, when you're unable to say yes to the things that you really want and need. And it's hard to even know what you want and need when you've learned and been conditioned to do things for other people. And on top of this, when you're saying yes, 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 you're trying so hard to do the things for other people, what happens? Your plate becomes full. You're overworked. You're overwhelmed. It takes you to the point of burnout. And the thought of saying no brings up so much guilt. So we have these limiting beliefs around being enough and self-worth. We've got saying yes to things that we don't really want to do. It's hard to say no. It's hard to set boundaries, and we don't know how to let go of the guilt. And that is the epitome of being a people pleaser. And if you've been doing it your whole life, it can feel like a difficult, if not impossible, cycle to break. So in the people pleaser detox, we are going to start with where it all started. I want you to think about, have you ever tried to untangle a big ball of yarn before? If you have this big ball of yarn and you're trying to untangle it, what is the first thing that you're going to be looking for in the process of untangling? You're looking for that one thread. That one thread that you can start to pull to unravel everything else. So as you're starting this people-pleasing detox, you already know where the thread is. The thread are those people-pleasing tendencies now. And we're going to pull and unravel until we can unravel it all and get down to where it all started. And what you'll have in your corner is me. And one of my gifts is being able to see underneath the surface, being able to see all the way back to where it began. And I'm going to be there with you to help you unravel everything. And listen, I know it's scary. I know that people like to keep things in the past for a reason. But until we can pull that thread and untangle it all, the people-pleasing tendencies are going to stick with you. But once we're able to go back to where it all started, to where the big ball of yarn that's all tangled up, where it all came from, once we can find that place, then you're empowered with awareness. You're going to be able to see where the beliefs form, where the limiting beliefs came in, why it was so hard in the first place to just do what was best for you, and why it feels so important to say yes to all the things, to all of the other people beside yourself. But things will be different this time, because now you know where it came from. And now you have a choice to do things differently. And together, we're going to remove those old beliefs, those beliefs of, I'm not enough. Nothing I do is ever good enough. I'm not even worthy of this. We're going to be healing those old beliefs and bringing in new beliefs. We're going to discover how to set boundaries without feeling guilty, so that you can start to do what's best for you, what's healthy for you. So you can start saying no to some things and create a little bit of space that allows you to say yes for what's really good for you, to create more time for you, for more space in your life, room to breathe, room to do the things that are going to allow you to be healthy and to feel good and to thrive. And you're going to be able to do that without guilt by the end of this people pleaser detox. And not only is that going to benefit you, it is going to allow you to really connect more deeply into your relationships and to thrive there. Because guess what is going to be in your relationships at the end of all this? There's going to be balance. It's not going to be one-sided. And when we have balanced relationships, we're able to connect so much more deeply because the resentment's gone and we're on an even playing field. I cannot wait to see what happens for the people who decide to become a part of this people pleaser detox. These 6 weeks, starting on April 5th, are going to change your life in so many ways. I'm so excited for you to be a part of it. I hope that this mini masterclass has helped you remember that you haven't always been a people pleaser, and that you don't have to continue to be a people pleaser. Everything can change. You're empowered with that choice. If you have questions, feel free to comment here or to message me anytime. Again, the people pleaser detox is going to be limited to 8 people to keep it really small and intimate. You are not going to be on this journey alone. And that can make us feel so much safer, especially when we're going back and looking at some of these hard things. You're going to be held in a safe space with loving people. But I'm going to keep it small. It's going to be limited. We're going to start off each class with a moment to just ground ourselves and get really present. And then there's going to be a teaching time. I'm going to teach our people-pleasing lesson of the week. Then we're going to have some time for discussion if people want to discuss or ask questions. And we're going to end each class with a group healing. It's going to be really powerful, and I hope you'll be able to join me. See you soon.